Hey everyone, so I wanted to do a video kind of breaking down what I feel like the future of the Supreme Court is. So, for those of you who don't know, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg recently passed away. I think it goes without saying that even though there were some very obvious critiques that could be made of her from the left, she was obviously one of the better people to ever serve on the Supreme Court. And so it's truly a tragic passing. What I think first, what we need to break down is where we're at right now when it comes to the Supreme Court. And then I'll talk about some of my predictions for where I think that we're going. So, first of all, so obviously in 2016, there was a Supreme Court opening. Obama wanted to appoint Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell was the Senate Majority Leader, and he was like, we're not going to pass Merrick Garland. We're not going to let him through. We're not going to let you do your appointment. And the argument that was put forward was, well, since it's an election year and the Senate and the presidency, they're of different parties, it's better if we just let the American people decide. So we'll just let the next president appoint the Supreme Court justice. People were obviously at the time like, you don't really care about that. You just don't want, Obama to have an appointment. Regardless, he blocked Obama from appointing him for almost a year. Now we are in a situation where there is even less time in between a justice passing away and the election, and Mitch McConnell, who is still majority leader, is like, yeah, I think we're gonna put him through. I think we're gonna put through Trump appointing whoever it's gonna be, and people are freaking out about this. And I frankly don't know why. Because what did you expect? I am sorry. What did you expect? Like, of course Republicans were going to be hypocritical about this. Like anyone with like a rational brain could have predicted that this is what's going to happen. And like people are digging up like old videos of like Lindsey Graham, who's the current head of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Videos of him talking about Obama's appointment, being like, "Wow, you can use my words. If this happens in 2020, I'll make sure that we don't have the same situation in 2020, and that we hold to this principle." And now he's saying like, "Yeah, it's completely different. We're gonna let Trump's appointment through." And like people are genuinely upset about this, and it's just like we already knew this, and it's just so frustrating because it's like Republicans know how to utilize their institutional power. That this has long been the case. They're much better at playing this politics game than the Democrats are, and the left is, frankly. And this is really disappointing when like people are trying to do this like kind of outrage and just not tactically doing what they should be doing. And it's just like I'm gonna be totally honest. I wish the left had someone like Mitch McConnell who like now let me be very clear with what I'm saying. Someone who unabashedly just pushed left wing values. Like I wish we had someone that delivered for left wing issues the same way that Mitch McConnell delivers for right wing issues. Like all he's done is Senate Majority Leader, just push through Trump's appointments, pushing through judicial appointments, and that is going to shape like policy in this country, or not policy, but just the way that this country functions for years to come, for decades. All the judicial appointments that have been pushed through under Mitch McConnell, and just like I wish that we had someone on the left that could utilize institutional power the way that McConnell does. Obviously, I think that the things that McConnell does with the power is not good, but just the ability to deliver Trump will have three Supreme Court justices appointed in one term. That is so many, and there are people that are like speculating whether or not it's going to happen. I think without question, Trump is going to push through a justice. I don't see any like it just doesn't even feel like the Democrats are going to try and stop them. Like it really doesn't. There are a few ways that maybe they could potentially try, but it would be very difficult to. The Democrats shouldn't have let themselves get in this position in the first place. But it doesn't even look like they're going to try to. And the big thing that they're pushing for right now is adding more Supreme Court justices. That is a big thing that most of the Democrats are talking about. It's like, well, we should just add more. There's nothing that says that it has to be 9, that we could just add more. And I personally don't like that method because it comes off as super partisan. Just because people will be like, you're obviously doing this to just, you're to do your side. And that's obviously what the Republicans are doing too, but they're more successful at doing it. That just frankly, and also I also worry if you start doing court packing, well then what's stopping the next party when they're in power from also doing court packing? And I mean, if they were doing it, like don't get me wrong, like I mean I wouldn't be like super upset about it. Like I mean, at the end of the day, I care more about getting progressive policies pushed than like the principle of whether or not you put more Supreme Court justices on. Like I would still be like okay with it, but that is not what I think that Democrats should do. I think that what we should be doing is pushing for term limits for Supreme Court justices. And I think that we should do this because there is a case that can be made for this that isn't like a partisan one. That you can just say that, in fact, it's ironic because the reason that we have lifetime appointments on the Supreme Court is the idea is that it will keep justices neutral. That because they don't have to worry about public opinion, they will just read the law unbiasedly. Obviously, we know that that's not what happens. The justices are incredibly partisan. Like they do, like and there are some flips, there are some moderates, but at the end of the day, you can fairly reliably predict how a justice is going to rule on a certain case based on who appointed them. And like I said, there are some exceptions, but still, I think that it's pretty fair to say that that the idea that lifetime appointments keeps them unbiased is just not true. That hasn't held up. And so I think there's a good case to be made that if that's not the case, then we should have term limits, because there's no reason that one president, just coincidentally, because a certain number of judges pass away or retire during your term, that you get to appoint three young judges that could potentially serve for like 30 years. That just doesn't seem to make sense. That's very undemocratic, and I'm just not a fan of things that aren't very democratic. So I think we should push for term limits. Now that would require more than just adding more justices. I believe it would require a constitutional amendment. Maybe not, but I believe that it probably would. Regardless, I think that that is what we should be pushing for. I think that long term it just makes more sense, and just whenever you can push for something that's not just a partisan thing, that also like works in a just an unbiased kind of way, because you can definitely make a non-leftist argument for term limits. Now there are a lot of people that are saying, oh, you just want term limits because you want, to help the left or whatever. And I do want to help the left, but I also think that just in general term limits are a good idea. So that's where I think we should go. But at the end of the day, I think that if we're making predictions, I think that it is very likely that Donald Trump will appoint someone just, honestly, probably in the next month, probably before the next election, as a way to just invigorate his base. It seems pretty clear. And even if he doesn't, if Trump loses the election, no question about it, he is going to try to appoint someone before the inauguration of Joe Biden. So I think that without question, Trump is going to get a third Supreme Court justice. It's just a matter of when they appoint them, and that sucks. And that's just the reality that we have to live with. And we just have to play politics, and we have to do the best with what we can. Now, Democrats could try to stop him, could try to block. Like I said, there are a couple different pathways through this. None of them, I think, are super realistic, which is why I'm not really going to go into a whole lot of detail on them. But like, it is possible, and I'll definitely make a video about it if it like feels like any of those do seem likely. But at this current moment, I think that the most likely thing is that before the election, Donald Trump will appoint a new justice. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you disagree with anything I said, or if I got anything wrong, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.